Welcome friends. Up till now in Unit 1 we have discussed the definition of service. Then we talked about the service industries. We talked about the global trends in service sector. And we understood that service sector has been growing at a very rapid pace, not only in India, not only in Asian countries, but also in the Western world. In fact, most parts of the world, right? And then we talked about the reasons behind this phenomenal growth. In the next session that took place, we talked about the classification of services. We understood that there are tertiary, quaternary and quinary categories of services. We talked about the other classifications of services. We did a comparison between goods and services to understand how they differ from each other. And then we also talked about the products which might be high in search qualities and products which might be high in experience or credence qualities. And we understood that it is the services which are generally high in experience and credence qualities. We talked about the service mix categories and we took some examples as well. And then in the last discussion that we had, we talked about the characteristics of services, right? Now today we need to understand as to what a marketer needs to do. A marketer who is involved in marketing services. And this discussion that we'll have today would have to be done in the light of the discussion that we had in the last session, wherein we discussed the characteristic of services, this discussion, right? So we'll understand as to what are the implications for a marketer. How do you deal with intangibility? How do you deal with inseparability? How do you deal with perishability? What do you do when you are a marketer of services and there is a lot of variability in the services that you are offering? So how do you tackle all these issues which have come up specifically because of the unique nature of services, right? So let us first of all discuss the implication for a marketing manager who is trying to sell services of intangibility of services. I hope you remember that intangibility is you simply cannot see, cannot hear, cannot taste services, which is not the case in goods. In goods you can see them, hear them, or maybe touch them, taste them. In services you can only experience them. So this is an example of intangibility, and because of which what happens is that the customer cannot try out the service before actually consuming it. I hope you remember our discussion in the earlier sessions also. Most of the services are high in experience qualities, which means they have to be experienced to understand their quality. To be able to assess their quality, the customer has to experience them. Then there are services which are high in credence qualities. You would not be able to assess the quality even after you have received the service. For example, a medical surgery. So now these are the services which are high in credence qualities. So basically this is what makes services intangible. And since services are intangible, it is very difficult for the customer to be able to understand which service is a good one and which service is not that good, and which service to go for, which service from which particular organization to buy, right? And so what you have to do basically is, let me come back to today's slide. What you have to do is you have to provide him contextual cues, context related cues. Provide him some cues so that he understands that okay, this particular service provider is a better one and I should go for this particular service provider. I should buy from this particular service provider. And these cues would act as proxy, would indicate to the customer what your service quality has been. What is your service quality? We'll understand what I mean by this when we look at the examples. Now, what kind of contextual cues you can provide, place. Now this is a hotel room and this picture is found on the website of the hotel services aggregator. I hope you know about OYO, right? And they have shown this particular picture, they have placed this particular picture on the website. So if you want to buy, you can have a look at the room that would be allotted to you in the hotel. Fine. Now, you may or may not know about the quality of service in this particular hotel, but the cleanliness which you see here in this particular hotel, clean sheets, clean bed sheets, clean pillows, the whole room seems very clean and very neatly organized. Now this gives you a cue that probably the service that this particular hotel is going to provide you is going to be a good quality service, and that is why you might opt to, as a customer, you might opt to go for this particular service, right? So that is what I mean by giving cues. Now in form of a place you have given cues, you have shown your customer that this would be the room that would be given to you. Now you can understand that since the room is this clean, the hotel service would also be of good quality, right? Then your people can also be your contextual cues. When you go to ICICI Bank, or for that matter when you go to Axis Bank, you would find that their employees are dressed in neatly worn uniforms. Now why is this particular culture adopted by ICICI or Axis Bank? Because most of the banks you see, if you go to PSU banks, they generally do not have a particular uniform. They don't need to wear a particular kind of a uniform. They're not prescribed to wear a particular uniform. The reason is because this gives a clue to the customer that since they are wearing neat and clean dresses, they look more professional, and that is why they would give me service in a very professional manner, in a very wonderful manner, or maybe the service that they will provide to me would be a quality service. So now this becomes your cue to your customers, because until unless the customers have actually experienced the ICI service, they cannot understand whether the ICI services are better than the services provided by their banks. So looking at the uniform worn by these people who are working in ICICI, they can probably think that okay, seems like they are wearing professional uniform and neatly dressed, so maybe the quality of service would also be good. So this is how your people can also provide cues to your customers that your service quality is good. Now have a look at this equipment. Now just by looking at it, I'll give you a test straight away. Just by looking at it, can you tell me, does it look like a luxury hotel, or does it look like a premium hotel, or does it look like a low cost hotel, value for money hotel? Don't you think it looks like a luxury hotel? Have a look at the seating arrangement, have a look at the ceiling, and have a look at the other furniture, and it looks like a luxury hotel. Now this picture I've taken up from the website of luxury hotel. Now this is giving an indication to the customer that see, this is the kind of equipment we have, and naturally you don't need to worry about the services. We'll give you luxury services, we'll provide you luxury treatment, and you would be enjoying your stay in this particular hotel, right? So your equipment can also act as your cues. Then the communication material that you have, the material which you use to communicate to the customer. For example, have a look at this menu card from a hotel. Can you tell me what kind of hotel does it look like? Does it look like a hotel in Pithoragarh like a Meghna, or the more premium class hotels in Pithoragarh like Meghna or Satkar? Does it look like that? Have a look at the price. Luxury tea, Darjeeling Oolong, and the price is 135 rupees per cup. Now this in itself communicates to the customer that see, we are a luxury restaurant. So in case you want to come here, you can rest assured that you would be given a very wonderful treatment, and you would enjoy all the luxuries that are there in this particular hotel. Fine. So again, your communication material becomes your cue for the customer. Now please understand, if you are a downtown hotel, if you are a value for money hotel or a restaurant, for example, naturally your menu card will consist of just one page and it might just be a photocopy, a laminated photocopy. It would not be having this kind of a print. And again, that will be a cue to the customer that okay, if you're looking for luxury services, don't come here. But yes, if you're looking for value for money kind of services, not too costly tea, then okay, come here. Is that fine? But in this case, this gives an indication to the customer that okay, this is going to be a luxury hotel and you will be enjoying all the luxury once you come here. So your communication material can also give a cue to your customers. Now let's talk about the symbols. Symbols, for example, it could be your trademark, right? It could be the color scheme that you are using in your communication material. It could be the color scheme that you are using. For example, I'll give you an idea. If you talk about Airtel Etudes uses red color, and you know that Airtel, what is the trademark? So these are examples of symbols. They can also communicate a lot to the customer. I hope you remember the Vodafone dog. So that dog used to follow, and Vodafone is a service provider, and I'm talking about the time when Vodafone was an independent company and it had not come into collaboration with Idea, so it was separate entity. At that point of time, you saw that ad wherein the dog followed his owner everywhere, and the idea that they were trying to communicate was that wherever you go, the network would follow. Don't need to worry about the lack of network connectivity. So this is how you can use symbols. Price, again, that can also be something that can give customers a cue as to what kind of services are on offer. For example, if you look at this particular menu card, you can understand since the prices are high, the quality probably is going to be better. When you go to the same kind of hotels which are catering to the same kind of customers, if the prices are high, many times you use prices as proxy for quality, right? So even your price can communicate something to your customer, right? Now have a look at this reviews. Now this is an example that I've taken up, the testimonials. Now your customer testimonials mean how they have experienced the service and what they want to share with others. So many a times your customers can provide testimonials, and when they provide testimonials, they can give a cue to the future customers whether your quality is good or not. For example, have a look at this particular testimonial which I found on a particular website of a particular hotel, and have a look at the customer testimonial. What the customer is saying: Dinesh Chauhan must have visited around 4 months ago, and he's saying resort is located at the outside of town, very peaceful, must watch sunset view from balcony, can go for walk uphill. So basically this is a website of a resort, looks like a hilly resort, and then this customer is praising the resort in the surroundings, the environment. And so now this gives a clue to the customer that if he books a room in this particular resort, he is going to get a good quality service. So now these testimonials, customer testimonials, can also be a good way to indicate to the customer what kind of quality you are going to offer him. Right? Now let us move over to the marketing implication of inseparability. I hope you understand. Inseparability means you cannot separate the producer and the service. The service provider has to be present when the service is being provided. Now what can you do then? You cannot provide the service. Now have a look at this particular entertainment show. Now this particular artist, Arijit Singh, he has to be there if somebody wants to watch his live concert. So he cannot be separated. He is a service provider, and the service provider cannot be separated from the service delivery process. He has to be there. The service delivery process is the process of singing, entertaining people. So he has to be there whenever you have to entertain somebody, right? So what can he do? He cannot deal individually with every single individual. So what will he do? Because that will consume a lot of his time, right? Because he'll have to be present everywhere, every single instance. So what will he do? He will be working in large groups. So he'll bring along a lot of customers, and then he will serving all of them simultaneously. Like for example, in this particular concert, so there are maybe thousands of customers here, and now he's providing service to everybody through this concern. It makes sense for him because otherwise he would have had to spend time individually with all these customers, all these people in the audience. So what he did was he actually provided his services by calling the customers in a group and then providing the services to the group as a whole, right? This happens with circus shows also. This happens with theaters also. This happens with sports events also, right? Now, second option that you have is, as a marketer, you can spend less time on each client. Now have a look at this particular picture. Let me give you a background. This is the Chief Minister, current Chief Minister of UP, and he is holding a Janta Darbar wherein the Janta would come and then they would let the Chief Minister know as to what problem they are facing, and the Chief Minister would direct some action to be taken with respect to that particular problem. So these people have gathered here to actually present their complaint or present their issue to the Chief Minister, and Chief Minister would be dealing with them individually. Now again, here he cannot listen to them all as a group. Like here Arijit Singh was providing the service all in a group, but he cannot do that here because he will have to individually deal and he will have to individually interact with every single individual who has come here, right? So what he has done is he will be spending much less time on each client, and he might be now collecting the applications from maybe 100 and 200 people in just a matter of 20 to 25 minutes, and he would not be spending too much time also. He would probably be spending only 30 seconds or 40 seconds, right? So this way he, as a marketer, and why am I calling him a marketer? Because he is actually delivering government services, and these are the customers, and if he is not able to deliver good quality service, would the customers purchase his service again? Would the customers vote him again in the 2022 elections? They would not, right? So what he is doing actually is he is providing the service, but because of this factor inseparability, what he is doing, he is dealing with them very fast. So he would probably be spending just 25-30 seconds or maybe 1 minute in listening to what the person is saying, and then he would move on to the next person, and this way the whole Janta Darbar would be concluded in maybe a matter of 40 minutes or 45 minutes. Then thirdly, what you can do is you can train multiple service providers, right? Now supposing, now this is one barber who has a shop and he provides hairstyling service, and he knows that I cannot go for this option which Arijit Singh used. I cannot style hair of 20 or 30 people in one go, and of course I cannot spend just 1 minute. I'll have to spend 30 to 40 minutes with one customer. So what can I do? I have third option. The third option is I will train multiple service providers, which means I'll have another helper which will provide the same service, almost of the same quality, and there would not be much difference. So I'll train multiple service providers. Is that fine? This happens with the call centers also. So there are multiple service providers. You don't need to wait for just one particular call center executive for your query to be answered. Your call might be transferred to some other customer care executive also if a particular care executive is busy. Is that fine? So this is how you can deal with inseparability, right? So thank you very much for your time. Tomorrow we will take up variability and perishability.